Most business owners think picking an M&A advisor to help them sell their business is simple. You interview a few firms, you see who sounds the smartest, and then you go with the one promising to get you the highest price. Makes sense, right? But that single decision can cost you millions of dollars. Not because the advisor you chose was evil or lying or anything like that, but because you didn't know what decides whether a deal closes or quietly dies. So today, I'm walking you through exactly how to pick a sell-side M&A advisor, what to watch for, and the subtle red flags that separate advisors who sound good from advisors who actually close deals. And if you're even thinking about selling your business in the next 1 to 5 years, then this video could be the difference between a clean exit and a stalled process that never recovers. Hi, I'm Nick McLean, and I've sat on both sides of the negotiating table. I've worked with business owners who were told by their advisors, we have an extremely high confidence we can get you a premium multiple. But then fast forward 6 months, no deal, almost no progress, and a business that now looks riskier than when they started. So let's dive into how you can avoid that situation. I'm going to break this down into 6 rules. And by the way, none of this is theory. These rules come directly from my years of experience, decades really, watching buyers react in real time, seeing where deals slow down, and watching which advisors earn their fees and which don't. Let's start with rule number 1. You get what you pay for. This is an uncomfortable truth that a lot of business owners simply don't want to hear. But I highly encourage you not to just go with whoever has the lowest fee, because that mindset almost always backfires. Why? Because low fees almost always signal low conviction. If an advisor underprices themselves, it usually means one of two things. They either don't expect to add real value, or they don't expect the deal to close. Neither helps you. Meanwhile, a good advisor doesn't just list your business for sale. They shape the narrative around your business, anticipate buyer objections before they do damage to a deal, stress test valuation logic, and they control the process even under pressure. The simple truth is that skill set is rare, and rare skill sets are never cheap. Now, an important caveat to mention, high fees alone don't mean high quality. So I'm not saying you should go in the opposite direction and go with whoever's the most expensive either. And if you're not convinced that your advisor will more than earn their fee, don't hire anyone. This is exactly why when I work with owners before they hire an advisor, we reverse engineer what value the advisor actually needs to create and whether that fee structure actually aligns with the outcome or not. There's a free video linked below in the description that walks you through how buyers think about your business's value before they ever make an offer. All right, moving on to rule number 2. The most bullish advisor isn't necessarily the best. This one can be really a tough rule to follow, but do not automatically choose the firm that promises you the highest valuation, the fastest close, the highest certainty to close. They're not saying that because they're genuinely confident in your business. They're in pure sales mode because every advisor knows that optimism, even unrealistic optimism, wins clients. But buyers don't reward optimism. They reward credibility. So when an advisor oversells your valuation up front, it creates 2 problems for you. First, your expectations get anchored too high. So then later, when your business sells for less than that, you end up disappointed, even if it was actually a great deal. Second, the buyer immediately starts to discount everything else they hear. Here's the irony. The advisors who close the best deals are usually the ones who are more conservative early, more skeptical upfront, and more honest about the risks. Why? Because buyers trust them, and trust closes deals. When I see advisors guaranteeing outcomes, it's almost always because they're focused on trying to win you as a client, and they're not focused on getting you a good deal. So it's another way you can tell if an advisor is for real or not. Rule number 3, ask for real transaction proof, not stories. Every advisor has war stories they'll tell you about all the amazing deals they've closed. Ignore them. You want hard proof. Instead, ask for non-confidential overviews of recent transactions in a similar industry to yours, of similar size and similar complexity. Then ask to see the marketing materials, specifically the teaser, the SIM outline, how risks are framed, how growth is justified. Do they look good? Do they look realistic? Or do they read like a pitch deck that assumes everything goes right forever? Here's a key insight most business owners miss. Buyers don't want hype. They want realism. So strong marketing materials don't exaggerate. They highlight the strengths while also at least mentioning the weaknesses. They anticipate questions and objections before they're asked. And this ties directly into something I constantly hammer with clients. Your financials and story must fit the narrative. If you say growth is steady, then your numbers better look steady. Or if margins are improving, then the expense detail needs to explain why. Great advisors understand this. But average ones hide behind buzzwords and hype. And when choosing an advisor, it's important to be able to tell which is which. Next up, rule number 4. Did they do their homework or just say they did? Ask this directly. What research have you done on my industry before this meeting? Then watch carefully. The best advisors will say things like, we spoke to a few buyers who have looked at similar companies. We ran valuation comps based on recent transactions. Our team mapped where your company might fit in our buyer database. But bad advisors will say something like, oh yeah, we've done a lot of research. We know the space really well. That's not really an answer, at least in my opinion. That's vagueness, designed to avoid the question. The best advisors will always start learning about your business before you hire them. Why? Because they're testing you in the same way buyers will later. This early research creates faster momentum once the process starts and prevents embarrassing surprises halfway through diligence. If someone hasn't invested time up front, don't expect them to suddenly care more once they've secured their business. Now, this next rule is quite simple, but can turn out to be surprisingly powerful. Rule number 5, start advisor conversations early. Most owners wait too long to start talking to advisors. They only call advisors when they're emotionally ready to sell. That's backwards. You'll actually want to start the conversation years in advance. Why? Because how an advisor behaves before you sign tells you exactly how they'll behave once pressure hits. Watch and screen them for their response time, how well they follow up, their willingness to educate, and their patience without pressure. Do they chase you or do they disappear? Do they really answer your questions or fall back on meaningless buzzwords? This is one of the biggest advantages of preparing early. Then you're not choosing under stress, you're choosing from a position of strength. This is also why many business owners work with me before hiring an advisor, so they can test advisors intelligently without revealing leverage or signaling urgency. Rule number 6, the most subtle and most important distinction. At some point, every advisor faces a fork in the road. Push harder for your best deal or push faster for any deal. Because here's the truth no one really likes to talk about. Advisors want to get deals done because that's how they get paid. But great advisors will balance closing a deal with value maximization. They know when to press in negotiations, when to slow down or pause, and even when to walk away. But bad advisors default to speed and getting a deal done at almost any cost. This is where experience really comes into play, because good negotiation is not about aggression, it's about timing. And the best advisors will have stories of deals that almost died, but got made because they knew exactly how hard to push. Now here's what all 6 rules have in common. They're not about picking whichever firm seems best. They're about preparing yourself to evaluate advisors in the same way buyers evaluate you. Because unprepared sellers will believe unrealistic valuations and promises, accept weak advice, and lose leverage without even realizing it. On the other hand, prepared sellers control the process from start to finish, which is what makes a good deal possible. And this is exactly what I help business owners do before they ever go to market. Not by forcing a one-size-fits-all checklist, but by showing you how buyers think, where deals break down, and how to position your business so both advisors and buyers take you seriously. So if you want to understand the hidden things that buyers will actually see as red flags, how advisors really operate behind the scenes, and how to avoid mistakes that quietly kill exits, then there's a free video below that walks through how we do this with owners well before a sale. Make sure you watch it before you interview another advisor. It could save you years of your life and millions of dollars. Thanks for watching today, and I'll see you in the next video.